Hello, welcome to Freezer Meals 101. I'm Christy.
And I'm Charlotte. Today we are going to walk you through how to make 1 week's worth of meals in 1 hour.
Yes, you can do it because we do it all the time.
And if you double each of these meals, which just takes like minutes longer, then you'll have 2 weeks worth of meals, and I'd say you can still get it done in that same hour, which is pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome, and what the real beauty of what's about to happen here is that's 2 full weeks that when somebody says, "Hey mom, what's for dinner?" you can be like, "Oh, it's this. I just took it out of my freezer this morning." You don't have to be all like, "I don't know, it's 4 o'clock, I'm not sure," because we've all been there. I've been there, Charlotte's been there. You don't have to be there anymore. You can have your freezer stacked right up and you don't have to worry about what's for dinner.
It's the best feeling in the
It
world.
really is the best. It's true.
And one of the reasons that these recipes that we're using today are so fast is that there's no pre-cooking. So we're not using any ground meats that will need to be browned before. We are just using things that we can throw right in the bag. And there is hardly any prep for these meals. There's like, you have to slice a few things and that's it. Really, if you can slice an onion, you can make these.
Now, that isn't to say that there's not vegetables or that these aren't healthy. There are some canned vegetables, so you got to get your wrist action going. But we're also using frozen vegetables, which are just as healthy as fresh, and they're extremely convenient, and this is going straight back into your freezer. So you're going to use your frozen vegetables and get them into your meal, back into the freezer, and you are still going to have wonderful, healthy meals to serve your family.
This first recipe is sweet and sour meatballs, and it's a sheet pan meal, and
oh my, is it delicious. There are vegetables in it. There's a little bit of sugar in it. There's a lot of sugar in it. So I would maybe drop it a few notches on the healthy meter, but it's up a few notches on the delicious meter, and you can play with the sugar yourself. If you find that it's a little too much, you can drop it down. Because when we first tried out this recipe, it was twice the amount of sugar, and we're like, no. So we've already dropped it down. You can do what your family is used to and what you're comfortable with, because freezer meals, that's the beauty of it.
You're so adaptable.
You're so adaptable. You make them for you, right? You make it how you want.
When I make this meal, seriously, my kids come running. And one of my adult sons who still lives at home, is like, "Oh, we're having that tonight?" Like he's seriously that excited about this meal. You can tell when this is in the freezer. You can see it in the stack because it's the meatballs, and you can see like the pineapple cubes and stuff. And so they don't last long. Like my kids will take them out themselves and be like, "Can we have this for supper tonight?"
And I like to use it, especially on a night that I'm busy, because for a couple of reasons. One, it's a sheet pan meal. It is one and done. It is all there. It's all cooked. All you have to do is cook some rice to go with it. And the other thing is less dishes.
Totally less
Sheet pan meals, less dishes. You're doing that hard work on this day, not on cooking day.
So into your large freezer bag, you're going to put some frozen meatballs that are pre-cooked. We get ours from Costco. You can use homemade or store-bought. Then you're gonna add some chopped green beans that are frozen, some pineapple slices that are drained, so those are just from a can, a sliced onion, so that's the only prep that you had to do. Then in a small bowl, you're gonna mix together some brown sugar and flour, and then you're gonna stir in some vinegar, water, soy sauce, and ketchup. And that's gonna make your sweet and sour sauce. You're gonna pour that sauce into the large bag over your other ingredients, squish it to combine, remove the excess air, because when you are freezer cooking, air is the enemy.
Air is the enemy.
And you don't want that because that causes your freezer burn. So then you're gonna seal it, freeze it, and on the day of cooking, you're just going to thaw this and dump all the ingredients onto a cookie sheet that's been lined with parchment paper. Bake it at 400 degrees for 20 to 30 minutes. You can serve this over rice if you want. There are 2 instances where I haven't even been able to get the rice cooked because my kids ate this so quickly. So you can serve it without as well. Seriously. Seriously,
I
boy.
can believe you. This next recipe is baked tortellini Alfredo, and what we really love about this recipe is you kind of have a base recipe to start with, and then you have options. And
Yes.
we call them mix-ins. So you're going to put about a cup of mix-ins in. We're going to use peas and mushrooms today, but other options for mix-ins could be cubed chicken, some pesto, some crumbled bacon, sun-dried tomatoes, some artichoke hearts, some browned Italian sausage. Kind of the sky is the limit. If you think it's going to taste good in this, you just go ahead and throw it in there. Let me get to the recipe. In your large freezer bag, you are going to add a pound of cheese tortellini. We like the tricolor one from Costco. We are definitely Costco shoppers. We're going to add in 2 jars of Alfredo sauce. If you do not do the second jar, you might find this a little bit on the dry side. Go ahead and be generous with your Alfredo. We're going to add in our mix-ins. So like I said, we're adding in mushrooms and peas today. And then we're going to add in some shredded mozzarella. And then we're going to mix all that around gently and get it all evenly distributed in your bag. We're going to seal up your bag after getting all that air out, because as we stated earlier, air is the enemy. And seal it up. In a separate bag, in a medium bag, we're going to add in some shredded Parmesan. Then we're going to staple those bags together above the seal, because we don't want to put holes in the bottom of the bag. When you go to cook this, you want to let it thaw. You're going to put it in a greased 9x13 casserole dish. Put your tortellini in the casserole dish, sprinkle it with your Parmesan cheese, and bake it at 375 for 30 or 40 minutes.
You can actually do this one from frozen if you prefer. You just want to add some baking time if you do it from frozen.
And I want to mention, you can do it from frozen. If it's in a foil pan or a metal pan, you do not want to do that in a glass pan. I wouldn't chance it.
Nope.
It will just take a little bit longer, like Charlotte said.
I like this one because I feel like it's kind of a surprise. The part that's the surprise is how flavorful it is, considering how simple the recipe is. Like, you don't expect, because it's got so few seasonings and things, for it to be really flavorful. But our family finds it super flavorful. We've also heard from viewers who are just in love with this recipe and can't believe how good it tastes considering how few ingredients it has. What I'm talking about is our Philly chicken sandwiches. Into your large freezer bag, you're just going to put some boneless, skinless chicken breasts, a sliced green pepper, a sliced red pepper, some onion that's sliced, seasoning salt, a little tiny bit, garlic that's minced. We used garlic from a jar because that's what we find the easiest, and it's a good way to save time. And then you're gonna take the air out of that bag and seal it in a medium size, that's a quart size freezer bag. You're going to put 8 slices of provolone cheese. If you wanna save even more time, you can buy them pre-sliced. And you're gonna staple those bags together above the seal and get them in your freezer. On the day you go to cook this, you can cook it in the Instant Pot or the slow cooker. You're just going to get that meat and vegetable combination cooking, and then you can shred the meat and place that on hoagie buns, and then you're going to top each of those hoagie buns with a slice of that provolone cheese. You can, if you want to, microwave it or put it in the oven to broil for just a minute just to melt that cheese, and then you've got these really flavorful Philly chicken sandwiches, and they've even got veggies in there. So once you add the bun and the cheese, you've got a complete meal.
You really have a complete meal. I will tell you something. Sometimes if I have leftover pork chops, I'll either slice them really thin, or if they're overdone a bit, I will shred them and I will heat them in a pan, and I'll make this as leftovers. So I'll add my peppers, I'll do it all in, I'll add a little bit of broth, and so that it's moist and it really gets all the flavors going, and then I'll add that to the hoagie buns, and I will have basically Philly pork sandwiches. I do it with the chicken too, but sometimes I don't know what to do with leftover pork. I can make pork fried rice. There are things to do, but this is our family's favorite way, and it's exactly like this, except it's with pork, and it's awesome.
That is a great go-to idea for leftover pork chops. I love it.
Yes. This next recipe is a sister to our sweet and sour meatballs. It is the beef and broccoli sheet pan. If you wanted to have an Asian night, here is your chance. In a bag, you will add your beef strips, your frozen broccoli florets, some low sodium soy sauce. If it says in the recipe low sodium soy sauce, we mean it, because we have tested all of these recipes, and let me tell you, if it's full sodium, you are going to regret it. It'll be too salty. Go with the low sodium. We're going to add in that garlic, like Charla said, it's from the jar, because honestly, sometimes we make over 100 meals and we do not have time to stand here all day and mince our garlic. We're going to add a little bit of honey, some brown sugar, some sesame oil, some rice vinegar, some ginger. Now, kind of along the same lines as the minced garlic, we add the squeezy tube ginger, because again, we make so many freezer meals. It is always fresh. It is ready to go. We go through the tubes pretty fast, and it does seem to last a long time in the fridge, and we don't have to grate or process our own ginger. So we do like the squeezy tube ginger. We add in some salt and pepper, some cayenne pepper, and that's it. So we're gonna mix that around in our bag, get it in the freezer. For the day of cooking, you're going to want to make a cornstarch slurry. That's a tablespoon of cornstarch in a little bit of cold water, mix it around. For the cooking, we're going to thaw our meal. We're gonna line a cookie sheet with parchment paper, and using a slotted spoon, we're going to transfer the beef and broccoli to the cookie sheet and bake at 425 for 10 to 12 minutes. In the meantime, we're gonna take the rest of that marinade and place it in a small pot, bring it to a boil over medium-high heat, and then we're gonna stir in that cornstarch slurry and bring that to boiling and whisk it and let it cook up and thicken. We're gonna add in another 1/4 cup of water and continue to whisk. Then we can drizzle the beef and broccoli once it comes out of the oven with that wonderful marinade that we've made. And then we can garnish with some chopped green onions and some sesame seeds.
This really means no gimmicks, no tricks, no nothing here. Dinner is on your table in less than 15 minutes. Like, this is going in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes. While it's cooking, you're thickening up that sauce. And if you want, you're making some rice. 10 to 12 minutes, you're eating.
You are eating, and it is delicious. I laugh because I say it is delicious probably 100 times a day when we are making these kinds of videos, but it really is true. We do tend to be picky about our meals. Sometimes we have duds. It happens. We have duds.
And if we haven't tried it yet, we tell you we haven't tried it yet.
It's true.
We don't want to steer you wrong.
But we have had these recipes, and they are fantastic. I gotta pick up a thesaurus and find other words for delicious. They're yummy. They are scrumptious. They are scrumptious. And so just so you know, I mean, I say delicious a lot. I really mean it. I will try to come up with different words.
You could put some suggestions for her in the comments below.
Give me your delicious thesaurus suggestions.
For those of you that don't know, Christy is my neighbor, and we have been friends forever and a day. We have also been making freezer meals together forever.
For a really long time.
But we actually, before we started filming this morning, we were just sitting in my kitchen, planning out this video, but also catching up a little bit because I just got back from going to the mountains for a week, and Christy was at her mom's up north and then at her brother's lake in a different province.
For a 60th wedding anniversary for people I'm not even related to, but I love dearly. We're busy, and so we missed each other.
Yes, and so we've been like chatting all, before, as we were supposedly, getting ready for this video, but really we've been chatting and throwing in these little anecdotes, and I'm like, I've missed you, and it's only been a week. But anyway.
It's true. And she never calls me on how many times I say delicious in a day.
No. I like her too much to call her on that. And there's words that I say all the time, and she doesn't call me on those either. So
ever. No, sometimes I call her. No, I don't. I don't know.
We give each other lots of grace.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, we will get back to our meals. This next one is another meatball one. But very, very different than the sweet and sour meatballs because we are now making Italian meatballs. Mm-hmm. So inspired from a different country in the world. And in our large freezer bag, we are putting some of those frozen pre-cooked meatballs. So again, that Costco bag is super large. You can get many, many meals out of it. And so we're just using that same bag of meatballs. And then you're going to add in some pasta sauce. Now for this recipe, we use our red sauce. You can find the recipe for our semi-famous red sauce in the club, and the link for that is down below. The red sauce is really got layers of flavor. It is really, really good. There's a reason that it's semi-famous. But you can just use a jar of pasta sauce if you don't want to make the red sauce. And then we're gonna add in some rosemary, lemon juice, and a little dash of salt and pepper. So this was just like a handful of ingredients going in your bag. You're going to again get all that excess air out of the bag, squish it to combine those ingredients, and seal it and freeze it. On the day you go to cook this, this is one that you can heat in the slow cooker if you'd like, or you can just heat it in a skillet until it's heated through. You can serve this over sub buns or pasta. We usually do ours on pasta because you've basically got spaghetti and meatballs here once you add the spaghetti.
It's true. And you might be looking at this recipe and thinking, that is so simple. Why would you bother making that into a freezer meal? And I'll tell you the reason why. It's because we've already talked about this a little bit today. When that 4 o'clock hits and you have to start thinking about what to make, maybe you will think, oh, I have those meatballs, I have a jar of pasta sauce, I have a bit of rosemary, I can whip that up. But even that much sometimes is too much.
It's overwhelming.
Because you have to do it every day. And so it's easier to pick up your phone and just call Skip, or it's easier to go through a drive-through. But seriously, if you have taken the time on a previous day and gotten that prepared and into your freezer, that is that much less thinking that you have to do at 4 o'clock. You really can just go and pull it out. Even though it is 5 ingredients, 6 maybe, and you already have it in your cupboard, it is such a good feeling to know that that is already in your freezer and it is ready to go, and you really only have to make the pasta for it.
And let us give you another tip here, and that is that, let's say that morning you were rushing out the door and you forgot to take a meal out of the freezer. It's happened, even us,
all the time.
It's like part of our routine to go grab a meal out of our freezer. If this still happens to me, all these years later, this happens to me, what you can do is you can grab that meal out when you get home and put it in a sink full of room temperature water for like 20 minutes, and then it's thawed enough to cook. So that's how we do it on the days we forget.
That is exactly why I had the sun-dried tomato chicken pasta sauce, the creamy pasta sauce.
Yeah.
I finally got to have it. We made it in our mega session. I had mentioned it early.
I'm going to put a link to that mega session there because we did 153 meals, which is a lot.
That is a lot, which is why we used garlic in a jar.
Yes, we tried a lot of new recipes.
And that was one. And I had it yesterday, and literally I pulled it out because it was 4 o'clock. And I thought, oh, this bag is thin.
It'll thaw quickly.
It'll thaw quickly. And it was delicious. I will tell you about it later. But I thought it was really good. And it was delicious.
That's your word.
It was yummy. It was enjoyable. And it was fast and easy. And I appreciated it that day for sure.
Delicious.
This next recipe sounds like something that you wouldn't normally put together. It is crockpot barbecue chicken drumsticks. And it's delicious. It is a good one because it is a set it and forget it. It's going to go in the slow cooker, but it's not just the slow cooker. You'll see what I mean when I get through this recipe. So in a small bowl, we're going to mix together some paprika and cumin and salt, and then we're going to put our chicken drumsticks in the big bag. We're going to dump the spice mixture in, give it a good shake to coat our chicken. We're going to add in some minced garlic and some barbecue sauce, and then we're going to squish it all around to combine. You know, we're big fans of that. We're going to get rid of the excess air, and then we're going to seal it up. We're going to add some extra barbecue sauce into a medium bag, and seal that up, staple these together, and then freeze. On the day of cooking, you want to thaw them. You're going to take your drumsticks and throw them right into your slow cooker, put them on low for 4 to 6 hours. Once they are cooked, you are going to spray a baking sheet with some cooking spray, or you can cover it in foil and still spray with cooking spray because these will stick. You're going to brush half of your remaining barbecue sauce over your cooked chicken and then broil it. You're gonna allow them to brown up and start to get crispy and sticky and ooey gooey. And then we're gonna flip them over, brush the remaining sauce on, and do them again. These are so fantastic. They are always a hit when we do them. They're delicious, they're tender, they're falling off the bone. And you can just use your favorite barbecue sauce. There isn't even any special magic formula to this. You just kind of use your favorite.
You know how earlier I was saying that when we have the sheet pan sweet and sour meatballs, I can't keep them in the freezer because my kids find them and want to make them? Well, that's the same situation with this recipe, except it's my husband. If I have these barbecue drumsticks in the freezer, and they're pretty recognizable, right? Because we don't cook a whole lot of drumstick recipes. We've got some, but they're definitely like that bag. You can spot it from a mile away. And I don't get to keep that one in the freezer for very long either.
No, they're always good. They're always a hit.
This last recipe is our sticky chicken. It's a little bit unexpected. Some of the ingredients in here are not what you might be used to cooking with. In your large freezer bag, you're going to just put some boneless, skinless chicken breasts or chicken thighs, a little bit of olive oil, some soy sauce, peanut butter, that's where it's a little odd, and then another odd one, a little bit of ketchup. So you've got some strange combinations of things in here. But you squish all that together to combine it. You're gonna get rid of your extra air, seal it, and freeze it. And then on the day you go to cook this, you thaw it and you just heat this one in the oven.
A while back in our Facebook group, there's a link below for that too if you've never joined. We would love to have you over there. It is the nicest Facebook group on the planet. And somebody had mentioned that that Americans put peanut butter on their burgers.
I have never heard of this.
I've never heard of this. We're in Canada. I don't know if you picked up on that because we talked about provinces earlier. And maybe it's not widespread across the states. We are finding that, like, a lot of our viewers are American, right? There's regional things. But this woman happens to live in the Pacific Northwest, and she mentioned about this putting the peanut butter on the hamburger, and I thought I can't imagine. And there's dill pickles in it. Now, as a child, I have eaten peanut butter dill pickle sandwiches and didn't think they were awful. And I would eat them now, and I would be okay with that. I just thought it was weird. And Charlotte had just said, about the sticky chicken, it's weird that there's peanut butter in there. I don't feel weird about the peanut butter with the chicken, but I do feel a little weird about the peanut butter with the beef.
I guess it's like we have peanut sauce. And it usually goes like we have a satay chicken with peanut sauce, right? And
that makes
those
sense.
Things like chicken and peanut butters, that makes sense to me. We have a lot of recipes with peanut butter that are like more breakfast recipes.
You're not wrong.
But so peanut butter on a burger, I don't know. I'm not sold, but I have tried strange things before and been won over. So
now I want to go back, because this just jogged my memory. I want to go back and find that post, and my next burger that I have, I'm going to attempt to put this peanut butter sauce on that she was talking about. And Angie, I'll let you know how it goes. The things we do for our viewers.
Yes.
We love our viewers.
We do.
We love our diehards, and Angie's one of them. Oh, love her. Oh, and I'm giving a shout out to my sister-in-law's brother's partner. Her name's Sherry. She just followed us on the weekend. She was up at the lake, and we had a really good talk, and she was just so excited to hear about freezer meals, and she goes, I'm a follower, I'm gonna follow you. And I'm like, Sherry, I'm gonna give you a shout out on YouTube. So shout out to Sherry, you're the best, and I hope you're doing well.
So whether you are Sherry or Angie or any of our other followers, who we really do adore you. We talk about you very kindly behind your backs.
It's true.
And we appreciate you. So a little while back, we hit 30,000 YouTube subscribers, which was pretty exciting. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button, let's see if we can hit 40. You never know.
That's what Charla said, was that day that we hit the 30, she's like, next stop is 40. So we're not pushy. We don't push our club a lot. We don't push the subscribe and hit the little bell. We don't do that very often because lots of times we forget about it. But it's also not that kind of channel. Our job is to teach you how to make freezer meals, and I think we do a really great job of that. But to say thank you, you can hit subscribe, you can hit that bell, you can go check out our Freezer Meals 101 Club, because it is the smartest thing that has happened on the internet in the last 10 years in terms of cooking, in my opinion. And we just love our viewers, and we're so glad that you're here and that you're watching us.
So thank you for joining us today. We hope that this helps make your life a lot easier, and we hope that you get that week of meals in your freezer, or that you double them and you're set for 2 weeks.
Thanks for joining us.
Happy cooking.